Hello YouTube family, this is Alex here from Vanganta House German Shepherds, and today's video is about feeding puppies and raising puppies, and with a focus on feeding. Um, so I've raised a lot of puppies in my life, so I think I know something about feeding puppies because I've raised so many puppies. So the best person to ask about puppies is a breeder. Breeders deal with puppies all the time. So the same questions always come up time and time again. How do you feed your puppy? How often do you feed your puppy? What do you feed your puppy? How do you prevent a puppy from biting or mouthing? How do you housebreak a puppy? Um, how do you establish good habits? These questions are over and over and over. So um, it's impossible to answer all these questions in one video. If you look at my channel, there's a series I made when I had my last litter, where I actually show you the development of puppies from birth, week by week, 3.5 weeks old, 5 weeks old. I show you how to make gruel. I show you how I feed. I show how I make the food. There's other feeding videos on my channel, and I'm not going to repeat some of the information here, but I invite you to look at those videos. So having said all that, let's begin by making some recommendations. Now, I don't make recommendations that I don't follow myself. I have too much respect for my audience to recommend things that I don't believe in personally. So the first thing is, how do you raise puppies? That's a question that comes up very often. One of the best books I've seen in quite some time is The Art of Raising Puppies by the monks of New Skete. This is a German Shepherd puppy in the picture, but obviously this applies to other breeds than German Shepherds. Common solutions to common problems. First day at home. The right breed for your family. Very important to understand that. Preparing your home for a puppy's arrival. What kind of food to feed your puppy. The stages of puppy development. General care of a puppy. Very good book on raising puppies. Another book which will help you raise puppies, although this book is not puppy specific, is this book, Purely Positive Training by Sheila Booth. A link will appear in the description below. This book is not specifically to puppies. It talks about positive training methods using food and toy rewards. It talks about jackpotting, a behavior that's done well, repeating commands through repetition, basic behaviors. There's a lot of information here on how to develop behavior, how to be proactive. Part of raising a puppy involves preventing mistakes rather than fixing them after the fact. In other words, if you can prevent a puppy from running around the house and having free reign of the house, and putting the puppy in a playpen or tying it to your belt with a leash on you so it doesn't have to run in the house until it's a little older, that topic is discussed in this book. There's a difference between teaching and learning, inductive reasoning versus associative reasoning. There's a lot of learning theory in this book. Now, do I believe that purely positive methods are the only methods? No, I don't. I believe that as a dog gets older, corrections have to be layered in, especially if a dog is misbehaving and showing aggression. That's definitely not solved with cookies. But when you're dealing with puppies, you want to be purely positive as much as possible. You have to show them love, build a bond, create association by repeating the same command over and over. And a purely positive approach for puppies is the best approach. So that's why this book is highly recommended, and also for adult dogs. This will help you develop a good start in life in terms of training your dog. Um, I don't have a copy in front of me, but another series I recommend is called Puppy Culture. It's a very good DVD series on how to socialize a puppy in the initial critical first week of its life. And as the author explains, what you do with a puppy in the early weeks of its life will have a profound influence for the rest of its life. Socializing it, playing all kinds of household noises, like a blender or a vacuum cleaner or a drill, uh, various kinds of music, various kinds of noises and sounds. I follow those protocols in raising my litters. And so if you want a very good puppy series on how to raise puppies, Puppy Culture, highly recommended. Very, very good videos. And you can get a lot of information by watching that DVD that would take you years to learn. You could learn it in about a few hours of your time. And I suggest you buy these things before you get a puppy so you can know what to expect. So having covered some of the obedience aspects and some of the raising aspects, let's go to food. The first thing I want to say is that I don't believe in kibble. Kibble is garbage. Um, they render chicken meal, which is not even food, it's some kind of leftover crushed remnants at the slaughterhouse that was not edible by humans, and they crush it and I don't know what they do. It's a lot of chemicals in there. It's basically like giving your dog bread with chemicals on top of it and some additives to keep it from spoiling. If you put a piece of food on the countertop and you leave it out, it'll spoil. It'll become rotten, especially meat. Meat becomes rotten very quickly. If you take a cup of kibble and you leave it on the countertop for the same number of days, let's say 3 days, it won't become rotten at all. It'll stay fresh. That's because there are chemical preservatives in there that keep it fresh. Now, a lot of veterinarians will encourage you to give kibble or canned food, specifically kibble I'm against, um, because they're usually sponsored by the company making the kibble. A lot of veterinary colleges, they usually veterinarians have one course in animal nutrition out of an entire 4-year program of studying to be a veterinarian. One course to how to feed dogs is not adequate knowledge of how to feed animals. Veterinarians are experts in medicine, how to fix a broken leg, how to do surgery, how to give vaccinations, how to operate on the internal organs of an animal. That's their strength, uh, medicine. Feeding, you know who gives you the best feeding advice? Breeders. Breeders have more than one dog in their household, and they have to feed a lot of dogs, and they can see what works and what doesn't work, and they've raised more than one dog in their life. So a person might have a dog every 12 or 14 years over a lifetime. They may have had 4 dogs at most, maybe 5 at most. But a breeder will have more than one dog at the same time and will have raised multiple litters in their career. And so they have a better sense of animal nutrition than even vets do. Now, vets are very much against a raw diet because they're incentivized not to believe in it. But if you look at the canine genome, a German Shepherd or a Poodle or a Chihuahua is 99.95% wolf. And what do you think? Somebody goes in the woods and gives wolves kibble? Look at their teeth. Ever look at a husky's mouth? It's the teeth of a wolf. Dogs are basically domesticated wolves. And I mean, many generations ago, don't get me wrong. But nevertheless, genetically, dogs and wolves can interbreed, and they're not really that different of an animal. And what works for wolves will work for dogs as well. Now, having said all that, am I a proponent of the raw diet? I tried it for quite some time. It's a little expensive to feed raw unless you have a very good supplier. Um, and you have to follow what's called the BARF protocol. Olfactory organs, beef, uh, bones crushed into a fine powder. It's hard to feed a dog a nutritional meal which is complete, feeding that kind of diet, and it gets to be pricey. The other thing that concerns me about the raw diet is that I'm not against it, but a dog's stomach is very acidic and a very short digestive tract, and they can handle salmonella to some degree, but we can't. So when you're feeding 4 dogs, let's say, you're gonna go through 100 pounds of meat in a week easily. Um, so you're dealing with 400 pounds of raw meat in a month. It may not seem like it when you're doing it, but that's how much meat you're handling. Uh, Even if you wear gloves when you are handling raw meat, um, or if you have a separate preparation area where you prepare your raw food from your family's food, you're not using the same countertop for both purposes. You have a separate preparation area for dog food only, and you have a separate prep area for household food. It's extremely hard to avoid salmonella in dealing that much raw meat that much often. So while salmonella will not bother a dog or not bother it much, salmonella will cause severe diarrhea in human beings. So it's extremely difficult to avoid cross contamination when you're handling that much raw meat that frequently. And salmonella is serious, and I don't like that idea of contaminating my family because I'm feeding my dogs raw. And believe it or not, uh, now regard to the meat, you can't feed a dog meat only. It's not a pure carnivore like a cat is. It does require vegetable matter. If you look at a wolf when they kill a deer, they eat the stomach contents of a deer, and that's how they get their vegetation through. But the contents of a deer's stomach already has the grass processed, so it's not completely in its raw state. Therefore, by analogy, when you're giving the dog, let's say, carrots, peas, um, uh, some yellow potatoes, um, and spinach, those ingredients, I believe you should boil them because boiling is a form of pre-digestion. So by boiling the vegetable matter and fruit matter, it's equivalent to the pre-digested innards of a deer's stomach. So when a wolf consumes a deer, the meat is raw, but the stomach contents are pre-digested. Cooking is a form of pre-digestion. Well, if you're going to boil vegetable matter, you might as well boil the meat. It doesn't take that much time to boil meat, but you're preventing salmonella and you're preventing disease to your human family. And really, boiling doesn't take away that much nutrition, but you're preventing cross-contamination with human food, and you're preventing disease. And dogs have been fed. You had some beef stew left over. The dog got that. Whatever you had some beef kielbasa or beef sausages left over, the dog had that. You had some cooked potatoes and rice and some meat on top of it. The dog got that. In other words, dogs were fed table scraps for centuries. So I don't know where this idea comes from that kibble is better for dogs. Give me a break. Dogs are around for 40,000 years, since the last ice age, I think. So what do you think? They had kibble when we were living in the caves in during the last ice age, but we had dogs and they helped us in the hunt. So this idea somehow that kibble is like preferred and human food is actually not to be given. It's actually the opposite. Human food is what you eat, so it's good for you, so it's good for the dog. In fact, almost anything you can eat, the dog can eat, except for, let's say, xylitol, or chocolate, or grapes, or um, grape seeds, or anything in that category. For the most part, dogs can eat pretty much what we eat. So cooking for your dog will be definitely a nutritional benefit for your dog, and that's what I do. If you looked at my videos, I cook for my dogs. Um, can my dogs occasionally eat raw? Yeah, I give them chicken liver occasionally raw, beef liver occasionally raw, and that's fine. But as a general concept, I cook for my dogs, or my wife cooks for my dogs, and that's how I feed them. Now, with regards to puppies, I don't believe in feeding puppies raw because their stomachs are too delicate, and getting diarrhea is too much of a concern for a 3.5-week-old, 4-week-old puppy. I avoid that whole situation by giving them cooked food rather than raw. Now, as they get older, can they eat raw? Yeah, they can. But cooking is a form of predigestion, and it helps them absorb the same level of nutrients as they normally would. Now, one of the concerns people have when they do feed raw or cook food for that matter is, do the dogs get all the vitamins they need in their meal? That's you have to be the complete diet. Just like we need to get all our vitamins from our food, we take a multivitamin because we can't 100% get all the vitamins we need in our food. And as I'm sure you know, um, the B vitamins are water soluble, which means the next time the dog goes to the bathroom and takes a piss, those vitamins are washed out. A and E vitamin are fat soluble vitamins. They stay in the body longer. So you want a high quality A and E vitamin, and obviously you want a B complex. For a lactating female, you want folic acid, which is a B vitamin. One of the things I believe in, and I don't recommend things on this channel that I don't use. I believe in it because I use it. This is the NuVet Plus vitamins I'm now using. It's an extremely good vitamin with good prepotency, all natural ingredients, really made to high standards. So this is the good stuff. Of course, if you have an older dog, orthopedics, especially in large breeds, you want glucosamine and chondroitin for your large breed dogs. So this NuVet joint supplement, can you guys see that properly? Let me see. The camera is kind of not focusing right. Okay, you guys see that or no? Does it work? Yeah, okay, I got the good focus here. All right, and a link will appear below for the NuVet vitamins, and I believe in this stuff. It really works very well. Um, and if I didn't use it myself, I wouldn't recommend it. Now, how often do you feed? Well, puppies I feed 4 times a day until about 6, 7 months, because their stomachs are not that big. So smaller meals, but more frequently is how I feed. 6 to 7 month old teenager, I feed about 3 times a day, and a 1 year old I feed about 2 times a day, and thereafter I feed about one meal a day and some snacks. One of the things you can incorporate into your dog's life is feeding as part of training. In other words, every meal they get, they work for that meal. So it's not a treat, it's a meal. And you can balance your dog's feeding schedule with your training schedule to coincide, and therefore you get 15-minute reps uh, of training as a consequence of feeding. And also, hand feeding a dog builds a bond with the dog because food is very important to an animal, and whoever feeds them is very important to them. So food builds a bond with the animal. It's also a very good way to build a relationship with an animal and trust. So I combine feeding time and training time for at least 2 or 3 meals per day for my dogs. I believe it's effective. But if you don't train competitive obedience, then just feed as you normally would. One of the things you have to watch out for is penesthesiasis. It's called peno. That's for short. That's when the dog's body grows faster than their bones, and they have some um, pain and inflammation. At that point, you will cut down the amount of protein. You want to feed a puppy a high protein diet, let's say 31% protein, 16% fat. As they get to be an adult, you might want to cut the protein down to only 19% and cut the fat to a much smaller number. You don't want to make them fat and have them have pain in their joints and their bones. So don't make your dogs fat. Uh, Keep them light, and that'll help with their hip health, because no amount of supplements can replace pressure on the hips from being overfed and not sufficiently exercised. That's the feeding schedule I just gave you, the vitamins I use I just gave you, and some books of how to raise dogs I just gave you. All the links to all of these resources will be in the description. Please read the description. And I hope this information helps you. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
And that wraps up another episode of the Von Ganta House YouTube channel. Thank you for being part of our German Shepherd community. Remember, you can stay connected to us beyond the podcast. Find us on all the major media platforms by searching for Von Ganta House, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. Just hit that follow button or that subscribe button to join the conversation and get the latest updates. If you have a burning question or want to apply to be a guest on our show, we would love to hear from you. Simply shoot us an email at vongantahouse@gmail.com. And if you are a business interested in becoming a sponsor, reach out to us at the same email address at vongantahouse@gmail.com. For more resources, exclusive content, puppy reservations, visit our website at vongantahouse.com. We have blogs and articles you might enjoy as well. It's your go-to destination for everything German Shepherd and working dog sports related content. Thank you once again for tuning in. We can't wait to speak with you again, where we explore the fascinating world of breeding, training, genetics, and our wonderful breed. Look forward to hearing from you.